This is logged in on November 25th, 2023, Eastern Standard Time. Sensitive material has been breached and it is now in front of the public. This is very sensitive documentation and the world will be in total chaos if leaked, and it is now leaked. All of it. Not one document, all of it. Place of exploitation, forbidden knowledge television. This must be stopped.
Forbidden knowledge.
Hey, all right.
Hey, we're here.
We are here and alive.
Alive. Yes.
Excuse me, I'll be clearing my throat a little bit from time to time tonight. I'm just getting over an extremely severe case of pneumonia, which we're going to talk about tonight and talk about the whole process, what happened, how it happened, or how we think it happened at least, and how we were able to get through it. It was a real tough time. So I want to thank everyone, for coming on tonight. And as you can see, sometimes my voice is going to want to cough because of the recovery that I'm going through right now. But thanks for all the love and all the great wishes and all the content. And thank you to my beautiful wife, Elizabeth.
And he's not a clone. He's not a clone, guys.
Yeah,
don't worry.
I lost a lot of weight. This shirt used to be skin tight on me. I lost 22 pounds. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about the whole ordeal and what happened and my near-death experience that I had. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting talk.
Man,
Yeah.
it's been a rough, let me see, 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3.5 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's been rough, guys. If you haven't noticed, we haven't really popped on here too much because we were dealing with Billy's health.
Yeah.
So yeah, Billy's never been sick in life until 3 weeks ago.
My first time really getting sick. I mean, I've had some colds. I had 9 colds, over the course of my 53 years on this planet, but
never prescribed antibiotics.
Never
prescribed, never really went to the doctor for an illness before.
No.
Yeah.
Never had a cast.
No
never
surgeries.
Never had surgeries. So this was it threw me for a loop. Just to start the story off, before we went to Turkey, I had been traveling extensively. What was that route we did in a week? We hit 5 or 6 states.
So for 2 weeks straight, right before we went to Turkey. Well, okay, let's start with the Conscious Awards. So we had the Conscious Awards, and that was an entire weekend.
Yeah.
And we put it on with us plus a team of 3 people. So
it was a lot.
So it was a lot, and it was incredibly amazing and phenomenal and successful and fun, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day, because everybody's in town for the Conscious Awards, Billy got invited to do a podcast with 19 Keys.
Mm-hmm.
So he was on a podcast the next day in Miami for 3 hours against my better wishes, because I was we just did the Conscious Awards.
She knew how tired I was.
I was like, I don't think that this is what we should do right now, but okay, all right, do your thing, whatever. And then I was texting his people because I was like, wow, he's gone for a long time. I'm like, it's an hour. Now it's 2 hours. Now it's 3 hours. I was like, looking at my watch. I'm like, okay, so let me text. I was texting Dr. B. I was texting Mechi. I was like, yo, he needs to get off this podcast because we just put on this huge event this weekend. Like, he needs to come home.
I had only slept like 4 hours in 3 days at that point.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was just grind time. So anyways, from that podcast, we had a crazy following 2 weeks because we had to go to where did we go first even? I don't even remember.
We went to Atlanta, then we went to
Atlanta, then Detroit,
then Vegas,
then LA, then back to Florida, and then we did it again though.
Yeah, we had to go back to Atlanta, then we went to Detroit,
and then we went to Vegas. No, we from Detroit, you went to LA. And then I came back to Florida because we went 2
different ways.
Yes, and this is all, guys. This is all within like a I don't know, 10-day, 12-day period of time.
Yeah, it was a lot.
He had to go film with Nick Cannon.
Yeah.
So from Detroit or Atlanta, wherever we were at, we split, and I came back to Florida. He went to LA to go film another show, and then came back to Florida, and then 2 days later we left for Turkey.
Yeah, well, we did Invest Fest.
Oh yeah, in Atlanta. Invest Fest. That was fun.
We filmed 6 hours of content at the studio in Vegas.
Yes.
It was a lot of work.
It was a lot
of work. I mean, you're talking about bouncing around the country like a ping pong ball. And then we come back, and then right away we have to hop on a plane and fly to Turkey because we have an entire tour of people that are already in Turkey waiting on us that we're taking on a private tour.
Yes.
So we do that. We get there. The Oura Ring was already tracking an elevated temperature.
Yeah, which we didn't even notice though until Billy started showing signs that he was getting sick.
Yeah.
So we tracked it on the Oura Ring. And by the way, guys, if you don't have a biometric, something that measures your biometrics, I suggest get one. Yeah. There's a bunch of different kinds that you can get. And actually, we're in development of our own.
Yeah.
So that'll be launching probably sometime in early 2025. But until then, I would suggest anybody get a biometric, get something that reads your measurements. So we were able to tell because the Oura Ring measures your temperature every morning. So Billy's temperature started to elevate before he even started to feel symptoms, which is something cool that these tools will give you, you know? So you can, I look at my stuff and track my stuff every day, like every single day. So if I saw my temperature starting to rise, I would know automatically because I'm on this thing every day, checking my readings. I would have known that I was going to get sick, but you don't really check it as much as I do.
No.
I'm the biohacker.
I just give you my phone and say, can you look at my stuff and tell me my readings? Right. That's what I do.
Yes. So, your temperature started elevating the day that we left for Turkey.
Yeah.
Which is a sign that you're coming down with something.
You're fighting something, right?
Yes.
So we get there. And I know by the second day, I had felt this extreme exhaustion, like more than a normal exhaustion. I think I like went knocked out at dinner.
Yeah.
Was that the second day?
Yeah, that was the second day in Turkey. So it was interesting because when you're around somebody so much, you get very in tune with them. And if you're an empathetic person and you're very intuitive naturally, it's like, you know, you're like super on point with who you're around. I mean, I can feel my girlfriends from Michigan and Detroit. I can feel Billy if he's like across the country. I can still feel people, right? Because you're so connected in tune. Yeah. So I was feeling that it was something was off with you.
Yeah.
I was like, I told my girl that came with us to Turkey, I was like, Billy something's different. Something's wrong with him. I could feel it. I could feel something was off. I didn't feel exactly what was happening, but I was like, something's different. And that was before you were even showing signs.
Right. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you actually did fall asleep at dinner though. But that's like, I mean, you don't commonly do that, but it's happened once before. I was like out. Yeah, you were.
Out.
Yeah, you.
When I came to, I didn't even know where I was.
But you know what? We have been traveling so much that I didn't even think anything of it. I was like, he's just tired.
I attributed it to all the travel exhaustion.
Yes,
that's what I thought. It was just travel exhaustion. And then by the fourth day, we were headed to Nemrut Mountain, right?
I think it was that was a couple days later.
Okay.
We had gone to a couple different locations, a couple different spots, and I think it was day 6 or day 5 that we went to Nemrit Mountain.
Okay.
But you started showing signs like a little bit before then. It was just he was exhausted.
Yeah.
You were exhausted.
More than normal. I mean, I can handle a lot. I mean, my motto always is, I might not be the best at everything, but nobody can ever outwork me. And there's a reason why there's so much content of me online. Is because, kind of like how Tupac had, I don't know if he had 9 full albums after he was dead that was released. I've got a lot of content that just is sitting there, stuff that we've never even posted before. That's just sitting there, probably, who knows, thousands of clips and reels and content pieces. And so my motto was just, just to grind. And, my main focus was that we have this tour and these people have flown in from all over the world.
Yes.
And, I've got to, I got to fulfill my obligation to them.
Right.
And so I put them first to make sure they got the best experience that they can get. Even though I knew I wasn't feeling that good. And I started realizing like I was feeling this level of exhaustion, and
it was Nemrit Mountain when it really.
And then Nemrit Mountain really struck me.
It was crazy because usually Billy and I are at the front of the line. We're running all over the place. We're literally running up shafts. We're running down shafts. We're climbing up shafts fast. We're sprinting up like places. So I'm doing our normal little shindig, and then I'm like, I keep turning around. I'm like, he's not here. I'm like, where did he go?
I was way back there. I couldn't keep up. Going up Nemrit Mountain is like a 500-yard hike to the top of the mountain, which normally when I'm healthy, I can jog that, to be honest with you. Even at a 45-degree incline or a 50-degree incline, I can jog it with no problem. Some areas was like almost like a 65-degree, but only small pieces of the climb. But this particular day, I had to stop a couple of times to catch my breath. And I was like, man, I'm not getting oxygen.
Yeah.
We were only 7,000 feet. I'm used to being much higher, 10, 15, 14,000 feet before I feel oxygen deprivation. So I'm thinking, what is wrong with me? I've got my hands over my head. I'm trying to open my lungs to get air in.
I was like, this is different.
I was like, this is weird. I had to stop twice and got to the top of the mountain and we did our whole thing. Watched the sunrise. It was beautiful. We had a great time.
Went live up there. We both went live up there. So you were feeling, you were just winded, but you weren't feeling sick yet. You were like still fine because you were snapping on people. I was snapping. I was snapping. You put ham on people in his life.
We took people into an ancient site that had been locked. They had the special key to open it and show them stuff that hadn't been seen for a very long time. Stuff that was thousands of years old. Then came back down the mountain. But I think that stress on my body, and I looked at the Oura ring the next day and saw that my temperature had elevated plus 2.9.
Oh, yeah. See, now you got a temperature.
Yeah. So now I had a fever. So we did Nemrit Mountain with a fever.
Yes.
And the battle of doing the mountain and coming back down, it dropped my immune system, I think, and which allowed the bacteria to take me over.
Yes, because when you're stressed out, your body goes into sympathetic and your nervous system goes into sympathetic. And that is where you're basically trying to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And you're not trying to heal yourself at that point because you're trying to fight off the lion, the tiger, whatever. That's what our brains go into when you go into stress.
Right.
So your body, instead of taking the time to recover and rest and digest, parasympathetic, you went into sympathetic, fight or flight. And you climbed a mountain. Now your body's stressed. You're not focused on healing.
Yeah.
So you couldn't heal what was going on.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And basically, pneumonia is a bacteria, not a virus. And so
It can be either.
It could be either. Yes, it can. But predominantly, it's usually mostly a bacteria from what I saw. Well, the virus, you have temperatures that might reach 103 degrees. Never really too much higher than that. And the virus doesn't really want to kill the host, even though some people can die from a virus. But the bacteria, it doesn't care. It doesn't care if you live or die.
Single cell organism just wants to live and wants to take over.
Wants to take over.
Yes. Yeah. Viruses, they hook on to different things to replenish themselves. So
Mhm.
they'll hook on to different cells and start to multiply.
Yeah.
And that's not what bacteria do. Bacteria
Right.
just go in and just tear stuff up. All they want to do is live.
Mhm.
Viruses want to keep on living, but you're the host. So
Yeah.
you have to live
Right.
for the virus to live.
Exactly.
Bacteria is different.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And so what happened was that night is when I broke out my first cold sweat, severe fever, shakes.
It was crazy. You had a
delusions.
horrible headache. Well,
Yeah.
that evening that we went and came back from Nemert Mountain, you had a couple meetings.
Mhm.
So I remember you left the room, and when you came back to the room from the meeting, you said your head was hurting so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were like, I have like a migraine or something. So that evening we have peptides, and we did a whole nother show on the peptides that we've been on, and they've been miraculous and amazing.
Yeah.
So we brought our peptides to Turkey. And so that day I made sure that I gave you thymosin alpha-1 because that really, really bumps your immune system up.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, he has a headache, something's going on. It lowers inflammation and bumps your immune system.
Yeah.
So we gave you thymosin alpha-1 that evening. And I sent you to bed. You went to sleep and you were asleep. But the room, I think you were starting to get a fever because the room was warm and you kept turning it up. You kept turning the air down, like the air up. So I was like, and I was hot. I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I just didn't sleep with the blanket because you had it all night anyway. It was too crazy that evening, guys. I got cold in the middle of the night and he had the blanket he ripped it like. And so something was different with him because he don't do this.
That was unconscious.
Yes, no, you were unconscious. You sleepwalked that night.
I sleepwalked, which I never sleepwalk.
Yeah.
So and I was just pressing the button on the AC.
He got up out the bed and he walked over to the AC. I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, it's hot. And so he literally talked to me, walked to the AC thing and turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. And he stood there for about 3 minutes, turning it on and turning it off. I was like, are you okay? He didn't say anything. He just came back in the bed. And then you laid down, and that's when you took the blanket and you were like this, and you pulled it away from me. I was like,
I'm so sorry.
Okay, I'm just gonna be cold, whatever.
But you know that was the first day that you began really to extend my life.
Yeah, well,
because the thymosin alpha-1 is what helped boost my immune system and reduce the inflammation enough to give me more time, not even knowing really what we had.
Yeah.
You know, having that.
I think I gave you TB 500 that day too.
You gave me TB 500 and the thymosin alpha.
TB 500 is very, very good for inflammation. If you have massive inflammation, really you use it for injury.
Right.
So you can inject TB 500 right on an injury and it will pull out the inflammation and bring yourself like a massive relief.
Right.
So I knew that it removes inflammation. So I was like, okay, well, if he's getting sick and he has inflammation somewhere, the TB will help. So we gave you thymosin and TB.
That extended my life because I would have been more severe sooner, which would have got me to a septic shock state sooner.
Well, you guys, so this is too crazy because every single thing that happened was divine.
Yeah.
All the way through from when he started being sick until he, the end result.
Yeah.
Everything happened the way that it was supposed to happen, or else it would have been all wrong and all bad.
Yeah.
Horrible. It would have been horrible.
Yeah.
So thank God that everything was like, progressing this way, even though it was horrible what happened, but thank God that it did progress the way that it did.
Absolutely. I mean, you gave me the thymosin several days.
Yes. And you were fine.
Yeah.
You had a headache.
That was
you
sick,
were walking.
I was still walking around and breathing okay.
Yes.
I didn't feel like I had pneumonia. I didn't know I had pneumonia in the first place, but I didn't feel anything with my lungs.
Yeah, no.
But
it was probably 2 days after that first evening. You were good. You were okay.
When we ran out of the insulin needles for the thymosin injection, that's when it then came back and took me over again.
Yeah, it did.
Proving that the thymosin alpha-1 peptide
really did boost your immune system.
Really did boost my immune system significantly and gave me extended time to be okay, which was incredible because it proved that it actually worked.
Yes, yes. Because as soon as we ran out of insulin needles, and Turkey didn't have any insulin needles,
they didn't have.
We drove around
hospitals.
Everybody was looking for it. They had no insulin needles.
We went to hospitals, clinics, doctors, offices, pharmacies.
Yes. It was crazy. Wow, you were sick.
Oh
My God, I felt so bad for him because
I was so
we had
sick.
to leave. We went to Karahan Tepe.
Yeah.
And that day you were feeling so bad. This is now a day without any type of peptides. We don't have insulin needles. Now I'm like, crap. I don't know. I'm just giving you a whole bunch of water. Drink water. Just drink so much water. Try to flush this thing. So I was telling you, I don't think it's a good idea for you to go and participate.
Yeah.
But you were like, this is such an important place. Like the people, I mean, this is Karahan Tepe. Like you were like, I have to go. I was like, I really don't think so. But okay. So that day, it scared the shit out of me because I've never seen him weak. And that's the first day that I really realized how really bad it was.
Yeah.
Because when we were walking, it was not even like an incline. It was like an incline,
Gradual incline.
Gradual. Yeah.
A medium hill. I was struggling to make it up the hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just couldn't get oxygen.
No.
They started.
We had to stop.
I had to stop a few times.
I had to hold your hand and almost support you.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the next day after that is when I was that the day I started going into a hypoglycemic shock.
No, okay. So that day you went to Karahan Tepe. Then we went and tried to find the needles. We couldn't find the insulin needles, so we were SOL. Yeah. So we went back to the hotel, and that's when you laid down and you started to hallucinate, and that's when your face. I started to feel him. He was incredibly warm, like incredibly warm. Yeah. And I was like, shit, this is not good because your fever. So we ran and had people bring us a thermometer. And so we started taking your temperature, and your temperature was going so high. It was like 102.5, 102.7. I was like, if it gets to 103, we're going to the hospital. I don't care what you say. I don't care if we're out of the country. Go to the hospital in Turkey. We're going to a hospital if it goes above 103. They didn't speak
any English over there.
No, it was really crazy. So what we did,
these people are going to put me on a respirator or something and kill me.
Yes.
Well, I didn't want to go there. I was afraid to get killed in the hospital. I was like, I ain't going to the hospital. I'd rather struggle with this until I can get back to America.
Oh, I was like, look, if you're because once you go over 103, your brain goes into damage mode and you start seizing. That's when you lose, your brain is damaged at that point.
The next day, when you went to the bathroom in the morning, I tested my temperature was 104.
Yeah, I'm glad he ain't telling me that.
I was like, I can't tell her it's 104 because she'll make me go to this hospital. These people are going to kill me. So I didn't want to go to the hospital in Turkey.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell her it was 104 that day.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he didn't because he would have been in the hospital in Turkey. So.
But she packed me with ice cold towels.
Well, when his temperature was going to 102.7, I was like, oh, this is bad. I was like, so ice cold towels, head, armpits, and feet. And he hated me. I was like ripping off the blankets from him. I was like, look, you gotta just deal with this. Yeah. I was like, you don't want to go to the hospital, what do you? I was like, psh, you don't want to go to the hospital, do you? Like, okay. So we wrapped him and that brought his temperature down. Thank goodness. Yeah. Thank goodness. But I guess the next morning it did go up and you didn't tell me.
It spiked back up again the next morning. I kept waking up in these really crazy cold sweats. And then the supplements that you were giving me though, which were helping daily. My cellular energy. What's that red one that I take?
Urolithin A. So it's a mitochondria. It's really, it helps your mitochondria. Yeah. And your mitochondria are basically the batteries of your body. If your mitochondria are dysfunctional, then you are dysfunctional. If your mitochondria don't have enough stuff to support it, then you don't have any energy. You don't have any cellular energy. Your body doesn't have any energy, and you definitely don't have any energy to heal.
Right.
So I was making you still take all your vitamins because we always bring all of our vitamins when we go everywhere we go because we don't change the way that we live, on a daily when we travel. Right. That's one thing that has been able to sustain this amount of work, travel, and, grind. Yeah. I really feel like our lifestyle.
Yeah. And you had me taking 3 Urolithin A.
Yes,
which
I gave you more.
You had you upped it, which gave my cells more energy and allowed my mitochondria to be more energized, which allowed my cells to be more energized, which allowed me to fight again a little bit longer. So all of these things were just falling in place.
It was like an ebb and flow type thing. Yeah. You were getting okay for a moment and then it'd go bad. And then it was okay and then it would go bad.
Right.
But this is the scariest point for me. One of the scariest moments for me. We had that. It was like the next day after Karahan Tepe, and we went to the museum.
Yeah, the museum.
And you wanted to go. I'm like, you should not go nowhere. Like, you should just chill and not go nowhere.
You got to remember, I'm not used to being sick, so I'm thinking I'm just going to get over this. My brain is telling me, man, just tough this out because you're going to be okay in a few more days.
And it was the Band-Aids. It was the Band-Aids that I was giving you
that
was keeping you thinking that you could keep going. But the Band-Aids don't do that. So, I mean, ibuprofen and Tylenol. I don't like to take these things. I hate it.
Horrible.
But in this situation, we had to. So I had ibuprofen. I had Tylenol. Yeah. So that was the Band-Aid that was making you think that you were okay, but you were not okay.
Right.
But it was giving you, the energy and it was taking the pain down and the fever down enough for you to function normally.
Yeah. Quasi normally.
Yeah.
I just felt like the people had, they had paid to be there and they had spent, so much energy and time and sacrifice to be there in Turkey for us to take them on this tour. And I just didn't want to let them down,
Yeah.
And,
I know you were very adamant about that.
I didn't want to let them down. I just wanted to be there to do what I said I was going to do. I didn't know I was dying at the moment, but hey, but at least they got their tour.
Yeah. That day was crazy.
Yeah.
That day was crazy. By this day, you hadn't really eaten. And I knew he was sick because Billy eats when he's stressed, sad, happy, angry. Like he's been sick with like headaches before. His sickness is like a headache. Yeah. That's when he gets a cold. It's like a headache.
You get a headache and that's about it.
But eating, like you never not eat.
I know.
So I knew something was so bad because you didn't eat for a couple days.
I couldn't even
only fruit.
I couldn't even eat a grain of.
That's the day after this happened.
Yeah, it was a grain of what was that?
It was a croissant.
A piece of bread.
A tiny
piece. I couldn't eat a tiny piece.
Yes.
Yeah, it was just wild.
It was crazy. So, anyways, we go to the museum and he's exhausted. He exhausts himself. I'm like, okay, no, we're going back to the hotel. Yeah. They can go on and do their thing. I'm like, we need to go back to the hotel because by the end of that, it was so obvious that you were like done, son. So we went back to the hotel and we're sitting there with Antonina.
Yeah.
And we're having a conversation. You're sitting up here talking, having a conversation because you have the Band-Aid in your system.
Yeah.
So you're feeling okay. And so we're talking about some work stuff, just calmly. And all of a sudden, he starts to shake and his body goes like this. And he starts like going like this. And he's like, I'm so cold. I can't.
Convulsing.
I can't. I'm not warm. Like, I'm so cold. And he like shook into a little ball and his whole body was like shaking. And the touch of your skin was cold.
Yeah, no,
he went from having a fever to the touch of his skin being freezing freaking cold.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And oh my God, I'm so grateful that Nina was there because if she was not there, you would have went hypothermic and you would have went to the hospital in Turkey. Right. I had to say.
I know.
So
they wrapped me in blankets and went and got a blow dryer.
Look.
And they put the blow dryer inside the blanket to warm my body back up.
Got the comforter. So Nina takes the comforter and she's like over him, holding the comforter, holding him. I sprint to go get the hair dryer and start to warm him up. And then I'm thinking like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, the sugar. I'm like, he needs sugar because
my insulin was crashing.
You went hypoglycemic.
Yeah.
Because you didn't eat for 3 days.
Right.
So I was like, she needs sugar. So I poured some sugar packets into some hot water. And as soon as you drank that, you came back.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. You gave me that and a small piece of chocolate.
Yes. That was crazy. That was the craziest moment. I thought like, at first I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you go into shock. You were in shock. Right. Well, you were going through what you were going through. Me and Nina were looking at each other like, we didn't know.
I knew then I knew for real I was really in a bad situation. I was like, we got to get back to America now. I knew God. Then that's when I realized like I'm in bad shape.
Oh my God.
I really realized how bad it was.
It was so scary. That was so scary. I was like, I don't know. I mean, I think intuition That's the only, because I was not here. I left. I was like, no, this is too stressful. It was
If
intuition
you
that
would
had
have done
me.
that, I would have started having a stroke.
Yes,
Yeah.
you would have went hypothermic.
Yeah.
It was bad. I had to get the blow dry. I don't know how all this stuff came to my brain, but I literally was like, I was not
It was
consciously
wild.
here. I was like, whoo, yeah.
Yeah.
So like after that, I was like, all right, go lay down in the bed and stay there. I was like, for the rest of this trip, I'm like, you're not going freaking nowhere. We need to go home.
We got to go home.
So unfortunately, we were in Sanlurfa.
Yeah.
And we were not in Istanbul. And we were leaving the next day from Istanbul.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody from our tour had to fly from Sanlurfa to Istanbul.
So we can get back to America.
Yes, which is an hour and a half flight.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the second scariest moment of the trip for me.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So by this time, he's incredibly sick.
Yeah.
Like incredibly sick. Like he's walking around freezing cold. He's extremely hot. At this point, I'm not even testing his temperature because we're at the airport on the way back to Istanbul. And my only goal at this point is to get you back to America so you can freaking go to the doctor.
I know.
So it was terrifying because you were doing so bad.
Yeah, it was crazy.
In the airport. It was the worst that I've ever seen you. You could barely walk. Yeah. You could barely breathe. Mm-hmm. You were burning up. We had these neck fans and this portable fan that kept you together for that airport trip. Yeah. Because otherwise, guys,
it was
he would have gone above 103 for sure.
I would have been. My brain would have been cooked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We get back to Istanbul. We get finally to the airport to get back home. And I never forget that the entrance to where we had to go in for our flight now, when you're healthy, it was like not a big deal. But when you're sick, as I was, it looked like it was a million miles away.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I can walk that far.
Oh my God. It was so
bad. I was putting every ounce of energy I had into taking every step. And I still was probably only walking like a mile and a half.
No, you were walking extremely, extremely slow.
It was bad.
No, it was horrible.
I couldn't get any oxygen. Yeah. And my lips were turning blue. And
no, that's later.
Yeah. It was blue at the airport.
It was blue at the airport? Yeah. Oh, I wasn't.
Yeah, you said your lips are blue. I was like, really?
Oh, I said that? Nina said that.
Nina said that.
Oh, see? Not getting enough oxygen, obviously. But in Istanbul, we had to stay overnight because that flight was an evening flight. So we went to our hotel that evening. And thank God they had late room service. So you were able to eat a little bit of soup that evening.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I was like, what do I have? That's when I gave you the prednisone. I had some prednisone. And I was like, that helps to boost, everything for a short moment in time.
Open up your lung pathways. If you have COPD,
airways.
It gives you, it reduces inflammation in the body. And now it's not good to take prednisone for a long period of time because it could be very dangerous and have a lot of bad side effects on the body. But on a short spurt, if you're in a situation like I was, life or death, prednisone can literally keep you alive.
Yeah.
And she had prednisone.
I did. I had prednisone.
You have prednisone.
I have prednisone with me.
I said enough for a full cycle.
Yeah.
When you gave me the prednisone, that literally turned me around within a few hours.
Yes.
And extended my life. It took away the sepsis and everything else for enough time just to
open up your lungs to be able to breathe enough to be able to go back. And I remember I was like, because it was hard for you to walk through the airport, but by the time we sat down and ate, you were able to eat.
Yeah.
And you started to feel better. This is the first time after 5 days that he was able to eat. He ate a burger.
I ate a burger.
Yeah. And I thought, I was like, oh, it's all good. I'm like, yeah, he's getting better. I'm like, we just, I was like, all we need to do is go home and he's going to be better and everything's going to be fine. I was like, this is great. Even on the plane, you were talking normally.
That's how good that prednisone was.
Look, he was like, okay.
Literally extended my life.
Oh, you were okay for a minute. And I remember I set my alarm a couple times because I had to give you like certain hours. I was giving you doses of different things to make sure that, we stayed on point with like, I didn't want you to revert.
Right.
So
I stay ahead of the fevers and everything else and the cycle of the prednisone. But
yes.
that literally
It got
turned
you
me
back
around.
to-
It got me back to America. I wasn't gonna make it.
No,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have made it.
I couldn't breathe. But the
At that
prednisone, I
point,
started breathing.
Before the prednisone, he was not okay. Like
Yeah.
I was forcing him. It was a tiny little crumb of bread like
Yeah.
this, a croissant,
Mhm.
his favorite. I was like, put it on your throat. They put it on your throat. I was like, you just let it dissolve.
I'm out.
I was like, you have to do this. He's like, I don't. Well, just give me a minute. Just give me a
I
minute.
couldn't swallow the crumbs.
I was like, swallow it.
After you
So I
gave me
was
that
giving him all
prednisone,
this
I ate a
medicine.
doggone hamburger.
I know.
That was crazy.
I know. I was so worried that you were gonna throw up though, because I had just given you a whole bunch of medicine, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my god, you got to get something in your stomach for it to hold,
Yeah.
because you were so nauseous too.
know, I was
Oh my
nauseous
god,
from all
you
the
guys, it was
medicine,
so
All
bad.
the supplements.
I yelled at you a whole bunch. He
Yeah.
had so many attitudes with me, guys, on this trip. He was so angry with me all the way through. I was like, you better take this cold rag on your armpits. I was like, eat the bread. I was like, do
It was so hard.
Oh my god, it was.
Oh, man. I remember being on the plane and I could start hearing this groggling in my chest.
Oh my god.
So I said, I'm not going to go to sleep. Even though it's like 13 hours flight or whatever, I said, if I go to sleep, I might die. So I stayed awake the whole time.
He doesn't tell me this. He doesn't tell me
No.
this. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, he's all good. We're going back home and he's going to get better naturally. We don't need to go to no doctor. We good. I'm thinking he's fine. I don't know. He's
Yeah.
gurgling, breathing, gurgling.
I can hear this gurgling, deep gurgling in my lungs.
I
and
didn't
was
know
like,
that.
Oh man, that's fluid.
Ugh.
I was like, if I go to sleep, I might not wake up. So I stayed up the whole time. And I was just focused.
I don't think you even knew that was fluid yet, because I had mentioned that to you like 2 days later. Remember? And you were like, oh, and that's when you forced yourself. I think you thought you were going to
I thought
die.
it was phlegm,
Oh.
but I'm thinking it was building up so much, it stopped me from breathing. So I was
Mm.
like, if I go to sleep, I might not wake up. So I was just focusing on one breath at a time. I was
See,
like, okay, the
I
next
didn't even,
breath,
guys, I
okay,
didn't
the
know it
next
was this
breath.
bad at this point.
Because I know you was going to go crazy.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, just one breath, just one more breath, just one more breath. And I did the whole trip like that, just focusing on the next breath. Yeah.
This is rough.
Got back to America and went to a urgent care because it was quick, just to see like what the hell is going on. Is this a virus or
we
whatever?
got you an IV bag, so we had
Oh,
our
that
guy
did-
come
that's
over.
right. First, that was
we
the
had
first.
we had our guy come over and give
Yeah.
you an IV bag.
Yeah.
And so you did an IV bag,
Yeah.
which really helped.
And a
Thanks,
vitamin
Nick.
D shot
Yes, and a vitamin D shot.
that
which-
rehydrated me.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, it did.
Yeah.
And you felt a little bit better.
Mhm.
And then I remember I was downstairs, and I think I don't know, I was doing something with Gabe, but you were upstairs. And I ran upstairs to check on you.
Mhm.
And you guys, he was looking so bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you having trouble breathing? Because he never told me this whole time that we're gone. All I know is he's having like headaches and
Yeah.
he's nauseous. I'm thinking COVID, the flu. I don't know what it is. Nothing about breathing. Did he ever tell me anything about
Yeah.
breathing?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
didn't
could
wanna
tell
scare
that you
you.
were having a little trouble breathing,
I didn't want to
like
scare you.
that last day in Turkey. So I was like, this prednisone is probably great for you right now. But I didn't know how bad it was.
Yeah,
And so
it was
when I
bad.
came upstairs, you guys, he was like nodding out, like,
I almost had
and
no
I'm like-
oxygen at that point.
I was like, are you having trouble breathing? And you were like, it's just, I don't feel like, this is what you said. This is such a man thing. He goes, I don't feel like I'm in any danger. I was like,
We were dying.
okay. I was like, you don't feel like you're in
Yeah.
danger. I was like, okay. I was like, you could have fluid in your lungs.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, we need to go to the urgent care tomorrow and check it, because at this time it was like midnight or
Yeah, it's
something. It
already
was in
too
the middle
late.
of the night.
Yeah.
I'm like, we need to go to the urgent care and just see. I'm like, I'm not thinking that it's pneumonia. I'm not
Me
thinking
neither.
there's
I had
fluid in your lungs.
No idea it could be pneumonia.
I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm thinking at this point, but I'm like, just for safety, get checked and get an x-ray so you can at least see what's going on in your lungs. I was like, you don't want fluid there.
Mhm.
That's the night that you stayed up purposely because you were terrified
I was
of the
really
fluid.
terrified because
Yeah.
it kept getting worse and worse. The groggling was getting louder.
Mm.
And I was like, no, I definitely can't go to sleep. So I stayed up another night.
Mhm.
And then we went there, and the lady called me in, and she puts me in the chest X-ray area. And when it came through, the lady gasped. The nurse, she gasped. She was like, "Oh!" And that's when I knew I was in trouble. She said, "You need to have your lungs drained immediately."
She actually came in the room. She was like, I don't usually like to do this, but you need to go to the hospital right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
So she showed us the X-rays, and it was completely black. Like
Yeah. His right lung was completely filled, completely infected.
Completely infected, completely filled. There was nothing left in there usable at all to gain any oxygen. Oxygen transport was only around 25%. Went to the hospital and people had been waiting there for hours. This is when I knew I was really sick, when they triaged me and they accepted me way ahead of everybody else and sent me straight upstairs.
I remember because we didn't have any water and we're at the hospital in the emergency room. You're passing out and shit. I'm like, he needs something. You need some water. You know, you got to stay hydrated. I'm going to run to this gas station, grab some water, grab some Tylenol or Advil because he was getting hot again. I'm like, you know. So as I leave, I'm at the gas station. They take him back.
They take me back.
And they keep him. And I was like, there were so many more people in the emergency room. So I thought we were going to be there for like 3-4 hours.
Me too. I was like, we're going to be here for hours.
Yeah.
People were complaining about being there for 2.5, 3 hours already.
Yes. I was like, oh man, we're about to be here for
But they accepted me into the hospital right away.
Yeah.
And they sent me straight upstairs. They checked my oxygen. It was like around 82% oxygen.
It was bad. It was like between 82 and 86.
Yeah.
While you were laying there.
Yeah. And it was.
I was watching the meter the whole time. I'm like, this, because by then you were a little delirious.
Yeah.
You were a little delirious, and you weren't really making too much sense. I was
talking to myself. I was doing all kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Then they put me on the IVs. They put me on antibiotic through the IV. They sent out a blood test the next day to test that what was wrong with me, whatever the bacteria was in my lungs, against the antibiotic, and they modified it a little bit. Then they came back and put that in me. But during this whole process of being in the hospital, I got to a really, really crazy point where.
We'll talk about why though. So look, when he got admitted, they took his blood, they tested all his stuff, and his white blood cell count was at 30.
Yeah.
So your white blood cell count naturally is supposed to be between 4 and 11 at the high end.
Yeah.
So at 40, you're septic and you're dead, basically.
The organs are shutting down.
Yes, at 40.
I was 10 points away from death.
30. You were at 30.
Yeah.
So even the doctor came in and he's like, well, glad you're here because you're borderline septic right now.
I know.
So that's what was happening.
Yeah. And my body, my consciousness or whatever you want to call it, it knew it, because when I would close I was in so much agony and pain in that hospital bed. But when I would close my eyes, instantly I was in another place. I was in a place where there was peace, tranquility. I was able to see things and explore. I was able to see faces of different hominids over different time periods and different types of trees from the Cambrian era and all these other different eras going back millions of years. It was so crazy. It was like an explorer's dream. And I opened my eyes and I would be back into pain in the body again. And I would close my eyes and I'd be back in this other place instantly. No pain, breathing fine, everything seemed phenomenal. And I said, is this real? So I think I was having almost like a near-death experience, an NDE or something similar to that, where I would close my eyes and I was literally gone from the agony and the pain. And then it got to a point where I was doing it so much, and they said, well, and I can only say they, because it's hard to convey the exact way the communication happens.
Not vocal, right? It wasn't words. Vocal. It's like a knowing inside of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're on the other side, because I've had those before. It's a knowing. When my dad visited me, who passed away, he came and he floated to me. He put his hand on my shoulder and I understood immediately. There was no movement of no lips. I didn't hear any words, but I understood.
Just a knowing.
Yeah.
And they were like, you can stay here. You can stay here. Or you can go back, but if you go back, it's going to be hard. And I remember I said to myself, I'm going back to my wife.
I was laying right there. I'm like, you better come back to me. I didn't know any of this was happening. I knew this days after this all have happened too, because I was trying not to talk about it.
I didn't want to panic about it because I couldn't even cry at the time, because if I would have cried back then, I would have died. Yeah, that's how sensitive it was. The mucus would have killed me.
Yeah, you would have blocked. Yeah.
But I just knew that, our house is only 5 minutes away from the hospital, and she's got this luxurious house, luxurious bed to sleep in. I didn't think she was going to come stay in the hospital. Not that you wouldn't, but I'm thinking, you had been through so much already in the last 3 weeks trying to keep me alive. And now just to be able to go home for at least a few hours and rest. She moved into the hospital. She stayed by my side the whole time. That's in this picture. It says wifey. That's that picture.
I was in that chair.
Yeah.
Right by
up on the screen. And she stayed. Excuse me. She stayed in the hospital with me, trying to get my strength back in my speaking. She stayed in the hospital with me the whole time. She never left my side, not even for 1 second, except to go get me some food and bring me back some real food, not hospital food, and medicine. She was there, man, the whole time. I mean, night and day and night, 24 hours, slept by my side. And
I know he was going to tell me to leave.
couch.
So I grabbed his hand when we were in right after triage, we went to
Yeah.
this little room before you even got admitted. And I was like, look, because I know for me, if I was in the hospital, like, first of all, I'm traumatized. I have PTSD because of my brother and all this other stuff. So I have like massive amounts of PTSD about hospitals. So I was like, if it was me, I would not want my husband to leave me at all. So I just grabbed your hand. I looked at you. I was like, look, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here the whole time that you're here. I'm going to be here. Because I knew you were going to be like, oh, no, go ahead. Just leave. No. And also, I was like really worried that you were going to die at that point. When it was hospital time, I was like, every moment of every day, I thought you were going to die. Yeah,
I know. It's pretty bad. Scary. Plus, I'm glad you were there too, because you can make sure that they weren't going to do anything stupid
crazy.
Because sometimes they start experimenting.
Well, I had a friend that his wife went to the hospital during the whole sickness time, and they did something to her while he was gone. Yeah. And it killed her. Yeah. So I was thinking of that too. And I'm like, no. No. No.
Well, thanks, babe.
Yeah.
Love you.
I love you.
Oh, it was such a crazy experience.
It was.
Man, it's wild. I lost all this weight.
He lost 20. Yeah. Look at the picture.
I'm 200 and now I'm 206 pounds. So I gained a few pounds back. I went from 222 to 200. I remember standing on the scale. I just gasped. We went back to the same doctors we use, because we go to the doctors all the time to get all of our tests done and our measurements done, because we just like to know what's going on with our bodies. And so I had a month and a half prior, had a full body BMI, full body scan, muscle mass scan, body fat around organs, all this stuff. So we went back just a few days ago to redo the scan to compare it to before, when I was actually healthy. And it was like shocking. I mean, 4 pounds of muscle in each leg gone. Yeah. 2 pounds of muscle in each arm gone.
Yes.
You know, it's hard going from 222 pounds down to 200 pounds in just a couple of weeks. But everything is going good. I'm working strong. I'm working hard to get stronger.
Let's tell him the one funny part in the hospital. There was a funny moment. When the guy was walking past the room. Listen, there was a dude. Yeah, there was a dude walking past the room, right? And he had all the wires, all the things, all the bags, and he's like limping and like really sick looking. And he has like the nurse right by him. He's like real sick, and he's like limping past the door. And he's like, oh, Billy Carson.
Billy Carson.
And then he goes back to being sick and like stumbling away.
I know.
Damn.
And then the other nurse that was walking through the hallway, he ran back to the room, and and then this one guy, I'm going into the CT scan, and he's coming out. He's like this the whole time. He's coming out. And I'm like, man, this guy's really sick. And he opens one eye and he sees me and he goes, "Hey, you're Billy Carson." And then he goes back down again. I was like, oh my God. And then I wanted to start going for walks like the second day there to get my leg, but I couldn't walk down the hallway because too many people knew who we were, and the nurses were Googling us and everything. And I just walked around the room instead and clipped the door closed. Yeah. But, I'm working hard, getting stronger. I've been doing my breath exercises. You got to get this thing all the way up here.
And hold it, yes.
And hold it.
This is actually good for your lungs, you guys. I mean, we never really think about working our organs out, but if you guys, think about it. Yeah. We should work our organs out. Right. I mean, we live in this vessel. We want to strengthen everything about it. So, I mean, even that practice is good. Mm-hmm.
And then you gave me this nebulizer, which really helped start clearing up a lot of the stuff out of my lungs quicker.
Yes. Everyone out there should have a nebulizer.
Yeah. This is amazing. This device is amazing. You put colloidal silver, monatomic gold, and this is the colloidal silver, monatomic gold. What else did you have in here?
I added
glutathione.
and I added yeah, that was that.
Yeah.
Glutathione.
And then you just take deep inhales with this, and it goes in and just almost starts disinfecting the bacteria and everything inside the lungs. and
Glutathione
cleaning
is
it
your
out.
body's master antioxidant, and
Yeah.
you stop really producing a lot of it after age 30.
Yeah.
It just declines. So
Yeah.
you want to always supplement with glutathione, and unfortunately, you can't really do it through like pills because it's so unstable. So it's very like an easy molecule to break down.
Yeah.
So that's why we inject glutathione. You can get it in your IVs. And then we also have LifeWave patches, which are photobiomodulation, which actually stimulate glutathione production within the body. So
Right.
we have multiple ways that we, you know,
Yeah.
increase glutathione, which helps you get better faster.
Yeah.
I mean, Billy's recovery, he got better fast, you guys.
Yeah. The
This is
doctor was
like,
shocked. The doctor was like, wow.
no, this is only like a week after hospital time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he was unable to speak full sentences.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was losing his breath like the first day home from the hospital, we walked maybe 20 feet.
20 feet.
And you couldn't do
max.
anymore. You couldn't
20
do
feet of
anymore.
walking, I was gassed.
Yes. And
Now-
I was making sure that you
Yeah.
were walking and getting out, because when you're sick, right, you don't want to do anything, but your body doesn't like that. You have to move. You have to, you know, keep your body still active, not active necessarily, but just moving. So
Right.
short walks. I was making sure that we were scheduling a
Mhm.
morning walk and an evening walk,
Yeah.
and then a morning, afternoon, evening walk as soon as you started feeling a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because it's important. What does walking do? It moves your lymphatic system. What does your lymphatic system do? It cleans up your body. It detoxes you.
Mhm.
So if you're not moving, your lymphatic system is not moving.
Right.
That now you're burdened with more toxicity.
Right.
So I'm thinking like we have to, you know, still do the things.
Gotta push, gotta move.
Yes, have to.
And then she got me up to where that 20-foot walked
Yeah.
turned into a quarter of a mile, turned into a mile, turned into 3 miles.
Yes.
Now we've got, this is the, you know, the tracking of the through the Aura ring, which we wear, 4.1 miles, 6.4 miles, 4.3 miles, 3.8 miles, 4.4 miles. Didn't do a lot today because it's been storming. There's stormers down here in South Florida.
Yes.
So you can't really, you know, didn't want to take a risk going outside as tornado watch.
Yes.
So today didn't really do that many miles.
But we did go to the gym.
Yeah.
Well, our little gym, like in our club, at the clubhouse, not
Yeah.
like the real big gym, but
Yeah.
you walked a little bit on the treadmill.
A little treadmill, did a lot of curls.
And what
push-ups.
really, really, really helped you was, thank goodness, that we have our hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Thank
Yes.
you, Dr. Amon.
You know what? The day that you bought this hyperbaric oxygen chamber,
You didn't want it.
I said, this lady bought a hyperbaric oxygen chamber and brought it in the house. And I'm like, this thing costs a lot of money. And I'm like, man, I don't know. So this was about a year ago, right?
Mhm.
And you know, it's some payments and we got to pay this thing off, and it's like $25,000.
Necessary.
And I'm thinking, okay, I know that this thing oxygenates the blood. It can do this and all these great, a lot of healing benefits. Great for the brain.
The hyperbaric oxygen chamber is everything.
It's phenomenal.
It's everything.
But I didn't use it that much initially.
No.
Okay. I didn't use it that much, and I've traveled a lot. I got in it a few times here or there.
Mhm.
But let me tell you something.
Mm.
Another wisdom thing that you did by having that chamber.
Yeah.
The reason why the doctor was so shocked by my recovery time to where I'm at now, I was getting in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber every single day for about an hour, hour and a half, straight out of the hospital. And that was oxygenating my blood to the point where it was speeding up the healing process.
Yes.
Before I would get in the hyperbaric, my oxygen would be at up to 92. We have these oxygen readers. I got one in my pocket right here. This little device, right? You can buy them even on
Oximeter.
Amazon.
It's an oximeter.
You just press the button and you put your finger in there.
Test
and
your
it'll
heart rate
tell
and
you-
your oxygen levels in your body.
Yeah, it'll tell you your heart rate and it'll tell you your oxygen reading. I had gone from being in the low 80s to 92 by the time we got home and got off at IVs. Now it's at 98 right now, which is phenomenal.
Yes, it
Right?
is. It's amazing.
98 is, even though I'm struggling to cough every now and then. And so, but when I would get in a hyperbaric, it would go to 100%.
100%.
Instantly. So
Yes.
when I would go in at 92, I would take this in there with me. I'd be at 92. Within 15, 20 minutes, it would shoot to 100%.
Yes.
That's when I knew, like, this is, so I would tell you, I need to get back in the chamber. So I would go in the chamber every single day.
Yes.
And oxygenate my body, which would sped up the healing process significantly. Which is why the doctor was completely stunned. Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then hearing your lungs too, like your lungs recovered very, very quickly because we went back to the urgent care because something was happening. I was like, at this point, we're checking everything. If you tell me something's weird, we're going right back to the urgent care. We're going to get tested. So that's exactly what we did. I think it was like 2 days out the hospital. Something weird was happening. I was like, get it tested. I was like, we're going to the urgent care. So they did all the workup and they actually ended up, you were fine.
Yeah.
They were like, wow, your lungs sound so clear right now.
They were shocked.
Why?
But that was the hyperbaric.
Oxygen chamber, glutathione, nebulizing glutathione, colloidal silver, thymosin alpha-1. What other peptides? So when we got back to, thank God we got back to our insulin needles, you were hopped up.
Yeah.
Thymosin alpha-1 every 6 hours.
Yep.
Okay. Thymosin alpha-1 every 6 hours. You were doing TB 500, BPC 157.
Yep.
You were doing a whole bunch. I even gave you tesamorelin because tesamorelin helps with HGH release.
The HGH release.
Yes. And you were so weak, you know, everything in your body was so incredibly weak. So, I mean, we were definitely, and glutathione. We were shooting some glutathione too. Yes. Yeah. So all of those things really helped you.
Yeah.
Really
I'm telling y'all, this woman kept me alive. This woman literally kept me alive and helped me recover to the point where I am right now. And, you know, I want to say something about that. You know, I remember when we first got together, a lot of people were against our relationship because of various different reasons, whether it's because they didn't think you were black enough or whatever, right? Maybe some people were just being overprotective of me. It was various different reasons. And, you know, sometimes I think people get into a relationship with somebody and they listen to the outside chatter. And the outside chatter plays a big role on how they feel about the person or how they treat the person, or it can completely destroy their relationship. I've seen it happen a million times. But I see, I'm not the kind of person that lets outside chatter influence my internal thoughts. I'm the type of person that I go for what my heart wants and what my mind thinks is good for me. And I go with that. Does it always work out right? No. But in this particular case, I just had this real core gut feeling about this woman, and which is why I made her my wife. And I was fortunate and blessed that she was willing to even accept to be my wife. But I saw something in her that I didn't see in anybody else. I saw that it wasn't a one-way relationship where I was sharing all the knowledge and information and I was getting nothing in return in previous relationships. In this relationship, it's I give some and she gives some. So we both are bringing something to the table. And I'm getting and learning about things that I never knew about before. And it's enhancing my life in other ways. If I would have let the outside chatter, if I would have allowed the outside hate and the ridicule get into my spirit and convince me, you know what, maybe I should be doing something else. And maybe I should be with something else. Forbidden knowledge would be dead right now. I wouldn't even be sitting here. I wouldn't even be sitting here because I'm going to tell you right now, the people I was with previously wouldn't have had any clue how to keep me alive. Not in the way that Elizabeth kept me alive. They wouldn't have had the slightest inkling of what to do next. They had no knowledge in that area, but she had the knowledge and she also has the tools at home. I get inside the infrared sauna to rejuvenate my cells. I've got a lymphatic suit that I can get into to pump my lymph and take the toxins out of my body. I got a hyperbaric oxygen chamber that I can go get into to oxygenate my cells and rebuild the structure of my brain and rebuild all the organs inside of my body on a daily basis. I have access to knowledge about peptides, which I never even knew existed until I met Elizabeth, which are keeping me reversing my aging process. And of course, in this situation, when having stage 3 level pneumonia, where you're on your deathbed and almost in septic shock, she was able to implement techniques and have medicines available that nobody would have had with them that I knew before to keep me alive long enough till I can get some assistance inside of a hospital. Okay. So the moral of the story is sometimes you got to go with your gut. Sometimes you got to go with what you know. You got to go with your own understanding of a person, and you can't let outside chatter and outside talk and outside hate creep in and destroy what you have, because the person that you have could be your own saving grace. Mm-hmm. And so in this situation, for me, it was. And I'm grateful. I'm extremely grateful, extremely happy. And I know now for a fact that I wouldn't even be sitting here if it wasn't for Elizabeth. So don't let other people destroy the gift that you can have, because they'll do it to you every single day. They'll trick you into robbing you of your own blessing if you let them.
That's deep. I didn't even think about that, because if I wasn't there, what would have happened?
I would have kept doing the tour thinking I was going to overcome everything, and I would have just died in Turkey. I wouldn't have made it back home.
That's how one of our friends' uncles, that happened to them. They kept thinking that they were going to get better. They were going to get better. Yeah. And then they went septic and died.
Yeah.
From pneumonia.
Yeah, I know.
Guys like think, it's like you have to discern, when is the right time to get checked about something. Yeah. Like you have to have that discernment. Now, I am all the way against Western medicine. Yeah. I am. I speak against it all the time. I'm always talking against it. But you know what?
There's a point where it's needed.
I don't hate them anymore.
Right.
Honestly. But I mean, I'm still going to do what I do. Right. But I see now the good in it, because all of my experiences in Western medicine has been freaking horrific. Yeah. Okay. They ruined my family.
Right.
But in this situation,
it would work.
They saved you.
They
did. They saved you. And I actually, I respect the doctor. Like, I mean, I was listening. I really was intently listening to what was going on and what was happening, because I was learning.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so this person, the doctor that you had, didn't want to kill you. They didn't want to get the codes. They didn't want to get the money.
Right.
They just wanted you to get better. Yeah. And so I can respect that. Mm-hmm. And I can actually say thank you to, the medicine, Western medicine. I can say thank you for one.
In that case, that guy, that doctor, those two doctors and those nurses, they did what was supposed to be done the right way, and they weren't chasing the money.
No.
And they helped bring me back.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
So it's discernment, guys. Mm-hmm. It's like know when to, when you're in a situation. Yeah. Like Billy would say, "Oh, I'm not in any danger," right. And at that point, his lungs were filling up with fluid, and he was probably at 80% oxygen, about to die.
That's the superhuman mindset that I have, and it's just thinking like override this and just keep on going. But in this particular situation, now I have the discernment level to understand, like, well, wait a minute. When you feeling these things, no, there's something really wrong.
Yes.
But because I hadn't had any experience with really ever being sick in my whole life, never being in a hospital, never having broken bones and all these kinds of things.
Never taking an antibiotic.
Never taking an antibiotic.
Taking an antibiotic until this.
I mean, the worst that I had was that time when I got that bullet that penetrated my arm right here, and had them pull it out and put a bandage on it and some disinfectant. Mm-hmm. And then this little knife wound that I had when I was a kid trying to defend my house, and it got stabbed in the back. I mean, that was just a few stitches. I mean, there's nothing in my life that has ever had me so ill and so sick to make me think that I couldn't overcome it. So when this hit me, my brain automatically went into superhuman mode. Oh man, this is going to go away eventually. But now I know there's a level of discernment you have to have with your own body and understand, like, no, there's really something wrong and it needs to be checked. And it's better to know than not know. It's better to know than guess.
Yeah. You have to and trust and believe. Trust and believe. The tests are going to be done. Any type of weird things happening, we're going to get tested. Okay. Yeah. No more waiting for anything. Because definitely was scary. So this situation, though, it showed me, and it helped me to learn, like, you can't keep on doing what we were doing. You just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, we're going to slow down a little bit.
Yes, we are going to slow down.
Yeah.
Billy Carson is going to slow down a little bit. And so am I, because we're both like, whoo, we go.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the whole time you were sick, all I was thinking is like, it doesn't matter. I was like, nothing matters. This doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Yeah.
I was like, none of it matters.
Yeah.
It didn't.
It does.
No, work mattered. I mean, this is our number one priority is Gabe, work, our mission, our intention for the universe, you know, for the planet. It's like, you know, our drive keeps us going all day.
Yeah.
But during this time period, and I kept telling you, I'm like, nothing matters.
Yeah.
Nothing matters.
Right. Yeah.
And it doesn't. It doesn't. If you don't have, if I don't have you, nothing matters.
Thanks, babe. Love you.
Yeah. So this was like a whole experience.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was a lot. Yeah. But you know, we got to take a break.
Yeah.
You know, in a weird kind of way. We canceled Amsterdam, we canceled London, we rescheduled it basically. We rescheduled it for next year.
Mm-hmm.
We canceled or rescheduled some other podcasts that we had to fly to, obviously, and you know,
gotta take it easy.
Yeah, gotta take it easy.
You don't have it, you don't you don't have nothing. If you don't have your health, you don't have nothing, which is why it's so important to me.
Yeah.
It's like prevention, protection is so important for me, because I feel like even all of these tools that we used, right, to make you healthy again, all of these tools, it helped you not to die.
Right.
It helped you not die.
It's a fact. It's an absolute fact. You know. Yeah. So we're still going to do tours. We still have tours that are planned. Those aren't being rescheduled.
No.
You know, we have the 2025 Egypt tour. I'll be 1,000% by then, obviously. Peru, we still have Peru next year. These are tours that are coming up in 2025. I will say one thing people can't say is that Billy Carson won't go to work for them, because I was literally dying and still working for these people.
Yes.
To make sure
that
they got the greatest experience that they could possibly have.
Still showing up. Yes, still showing up. So you guys, we have learned a massive lesson from this. We are going to slow down. We're not going to do as much, and we'll be at home a lot more next year. We're only going to do Peru and Egypt. And then we have our Manifest Destiny that we're doing in LA, and then the Conscious Awards.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's like, guys, like, I'm not going to allow, I'm not allowing this to happen again, because it's like, it really made me realize, like, if you don't have this, you don't have anything. Nothing matters.
That's facts.
Yeah. So, you know, be present, enjoy the people around you. You know, I mean, oh man, because it could go so quick.
Yeah. So anyway, we definitely will still see you in Peru. We'll see you in Egypt.
Peru is almost sold out. Let me actually drop the link. I've been dropping the link for Egypt, but Peru is almost sold out, you guys. So if you want to join Peru, you got to sign up.
You know what I love about Peru? Peru is open air.
Oh yeah.
So whereas a lot of these ancient sites are closed in tiny places, some people are very claustrophobic. And you know, you're going into a lot of these dark areas and these underground crypts and things. Peru is like really all open air, and the air there is so incredibly fresh. Fresh air in Peru. You know, hiking up Rainbow Mountain is going to be incredible. I've never done that before. Going to Lake Titicaca, I've never done, and going to Pumapunku and walking through the Sun Gate at Tiwanaku and all that. It's just going to be an amazing trip.
Yeah.
You know, so Peru is like all open air, fresh air, overlooking mountains and jungles and everything. It's going to be just incredible.
I can't wait.
Yeah. And then we have, of course, the Egypt tour, which 2025 is going to be incredible. A lot of private visits in 2025.
Yes, it's gonna be freaking amazing. And this is about 70% sold out. So, and our tours sell out so fast. It's not even, we're not even like a year.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do 2026. So we're going to take 2026 off from Egypt tours.
Yes.
We're going to take that break. 2025 was already in the works.
Yes.
But 2026, we're going to take a break, but we're going to come back in 2027 and we're going to do the special eclipse tour.
Right over Egypt. It'll be a full eclipse right over Luxor in Egypt, and we will be right there.
We'll be right there.
Yes.
In the summer, in July, right there when the full eclipse happens over Egypt. And we'll have our tour right there. We're going to do a very special meditation.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an amazing tour in 2027.
Yep. And I think that you guys, we can sign up for, we have the listing up, but we have to We'll launch that tomorrow, guys.
Yeah.
The Eclipse Egypt
Yeah.
tour. We'll launch that one tomorrow. But like we said, next year we're still going to Peru. We're still going to Egypt. We had
Yeah.
already sold 70% of Egypt when this happened.
Yeah.
So it's not like I can cancel it, or else I would have, guys. I would have. Okay. And I would have canceled this year's too, but I won't do that to our
No, we'll
Egypt
be there.
participants.
We'll be there.
Yes, so we will
Yeah.
be there, guys, but we will not be there in 2026. So make
Yeah.
sure you guys sign up for next year, 2025. Our tours are amazing.
Yeah.
They really are.
Amazing tours, life-changing tours.
They are life changing. This one was sure life changing.
This was
This
definitely
turkey
life-changing.
tour was life changing. It was.
Overall, though, besides getting sick, the turkey tour was mind-blowing.
Man, it was.
I mean, Göbekli Tepe was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow. When I say interesting, like I was like, I went off by myself. You were talking to the group, and I was off by myself, like grabbing B-roll and just looking at everything. So many things in there.
Yeah. Mind-blowing.
Sperm, okay? Sperm. There was sperm on
Etched into the stone pillars.
Yes. How back in the day, if you did not have technology, how do you know what sperm looks like?
How do you know what sperm looks like without a microscope?
More proof.
Yeah. They had technology.
Yeah, they did.
Neolithic people did not build Göbekli Tepe. They moved in and inherited what was already there.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a full episode on Göbekli Tepe on the Anunnaki docuseries. So make sure you get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app because we're going to be releasing new episodes, I think this week. Next week. Next week, we're going to release new episodes of the Anunnaki Ancient Secrets Revealed. And in season 2, we'll be doing Göbekli Tepe, Karahan Tepe, and some of the ancient sites that we visited there in Turkey will be featured in season 2, and I'm going to go into Darren Kuyu. All of that will be in season 2 of Anunnaki Ancient Secrets Revealed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, we have I'm making gumbo.
Yeah, she's cooking a fresh home cooked gumbo meal.
Yeah.
She's a chef, by the way, just in case you didn't know. And I'm not talking about a hypothetical chef. She's actually a real chef.
Like I went to school for two chefs.
I can't wait to eat this gumbo.
Yes. We got to get to the gumbo. Like one last thing, I just want to say thank you to Nina,
thank you, Nina.
She wears so many hats in the business, but thank you, Nina, because if we didn't have Nina with us in Turkey and I didn't have Nina with me, I would not have been able to help you in the way I did, and she would have not been there to help you in the way she did too.
Very true. Shout out to Antonina.
Yeah.
We call her Nina. She's amazing.
Yes.
She was right there. I mean, I could attribute my life also to her as well.
Yeah.
She did a phenomenal job. She helped take care of me night and day, day and night. Just a great friend and human being.
Yes. Yeah. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Nina, for having our backs and for helping. I had to be able to talk to somebody because I'm not one of those people that just hit up everybody as soon as there's like an emergency or anything bad happening. I kind of internalize it and then I just stay present so I can be on point.
Yeah.
So I didn't talk to nobody. I didn't even talk to my mom. No one even knew what was going on.
Nobody knew.
Because you didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody except for Nina. So she was there as, helping me therapy me through this whole situation too. Yeah. So.
Ooh, we made it. We made it. I'm still trying to get some of my breath back in terms of speaking out and breathing in. It's a little tricky sometimes because I never thought about that part. Use breathing, but then speaking.
Yeah.
So you have this intricate dance that goes on that we take for granted.
Yeah.
But once you get this pneumonia, like I had, it's this tricky balance between inhaling, breathing, and then exhaling and talking. So it kind of throws you off a little bit. And then so it's kind of tricky, but I'm getting back stronger. I mean, I'm better than I was a week ago. I couldn't say a complete sentence last week.
No, he couldn't. It was so sad,
you
guys. He couldn't. He was losing his. He was like trying to say. And he would lose his breath.
I'm getting stronger every day. Every day.
Yeah.
I'm coming back, y'all. All right. So I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna gain all my weight back too.
Yes, he is. Yes, he gonna.
That's why we got to get to this gumbo.
Yes, we got to get to the gumbo. All right, y'all. I'm gonna drop the Egypt link one more time.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. To be able to do what I do has been an absolute blessing, and I'm so happy that I can continue to do it at the highest level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does at the highest level.
Yeah. Thanks, babe.
All right, guys. We'll be back tomorrow for Biohack Your Best Life, and we'll probably talk about. I forgot what we're talking about, but it's gonna be something good.
Yeah.
And I want to get more into peptides too. So we're gonna talk about peptides tomorrow. I know that's we're talking about ancient biohacks.
Ancient biohacks tomorrow.
But we're gonna tie in peptides to that. Yes.
Okay.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Peace.